March 5, 1943, Norfolk Naval Base, Virginia. The first American hunter-killer group prepared to sail.
Captain Giles Short reviewed encrypted messages revealing German submarine refueling positions from ultra-intelligence.
Milk Cow submarines U-459 and U-487 scheduled to resupply wolf packs along convoy routes.
One escort carrier, supported by 4 destroyer escorts, would hunt the hunters.
This deployment would trigger the most catastrophic reversal in submarine warfare history.
Within 8 months, hunter-killer groups would destroy the myth of U-boat invincibility.
Admiral Karl Dönitz forced to withdraw his entire submarine fleet from the Atlantic.
The Battle of the Atlantic taught both sides submarine warfare was about tonnage calculations. Sink more tonnage than enemy could build, and victory would follow inevitably. German Kriegsmarine U-boat arm had established dominance across Atlantic shipping lanes. March 1943, Wolfpack sank over 80 ships, totaling nearly 500,000 tons.
April losses would surge to more than 600,000 tons, peak of U-boat offensive.
The arithmetic seemed to favor Germany. 20 new U-boats entered service monthly, while losses averaged fewer than 10. Admiral Dönitz commanded over 400 submarines.
His Wolfpack tactics had nearly severed the lifeline between America and Britain.
USS Bogue displaced 9,800 tons and carried a complement of 890 men. Her flight deck stretched 495 feet, launching 12 Wildcat fighters and 9 Avengers.
But the carrier's greatest weapons were technologies the Germans didn't yet understand.
Centimeter wavelength radar, invisible to German detection equipment and direction-finding gear. High-frequency direction-finding gear that could triangulate U-boat radio transmissions with devastating accuracy.
And carried in Avenger bomb bays, a secret weapon designated Mark 24 mine.
To disguise its true nature, the photo-acoustic homing torpedo.
The hunter-killer concept represented a fundamental shift in anti-submarine warfare. Traditional convoy escorts could only react to attacks, forced to choose protection.
Hunter-killer groups had no such constraints. Their sole mission: find and destroy.
Lieutenant Commander Howard Avery would later command Composite Squadron 9 aboard Bogue. A veteran of Atlantic convoy operations, Avery understood U-boats were most vulnerable.
During 3 critical periods, surfacing to charge batteries, meeting supply submarines, and transmitting radio reports to Dönitz's headquarters. Each transmission was potentially deadly.
German submarine doctrine required frequent radio communication, revealing submarine locations to Allied stations.
Aboard U-569, Captain Johansen reviewed his patrol orders after 7 weeks at sea. Fuel reserves depleted to critical levels. Radio instructions directed rendezvous with Milk Cow. U-569 was a Type VIC submarine, workhorse of the German fleet, displacing 769 tons. She carried 14 torpedoes and a crew of 44 men in cramped conditions.
Her 4 bow tubes and single stern tube had accounted for modest success. But the submarine's greatest vulnerability remained unchanged since the Great War: diesel engines.
Electric batteries needed hours of surface charging. Type VIC could remain submerged 8 hours. But high-speed Evasius drained batteries in less than an hour. creating fatal vulnerability.
American hunter-killer groups exploited these weaknesses with scientific precision and calculated search patterns.
At 14:20 hours, May 22, 1943, Avenger pilot Lieutenant Chamberlain detected surfaced submarine.
Range 18 miles, bearing 090 degrees relative. He pushed control stick forward, beginning attack.
U-569 running on surface at 15 knots. Diesels charging depleted batteries after evasion.
Bridgewatch spotted approaching aircraft at 8 miles. Alarm bells rang throughout boat.
Crash dive!
Captain Johansen ordered emergency dive. Crash dive procedures required 35 seconds to periscope depth.
Ballast tank vents opened. Diesel engines stopped. Electric motors engaged. Bow angled sharply downward. Lieutenant Chamberlain's depth charge pattern caught U-569 at shallow depth with devastating effect.
4 Mark 17 depth charges set for shallow detonation damaged submarine severely. The explosions damaged the submarine severely, forcing her back to the surface immediately.
Second Avenger, piloted by Howard Roberts, was already positioned when submarine reappeared.
Roberts attacked immediately, but ceased fire when white flags appeared on periscope. The crew was surrendering. Canadian destroyer HMCS Saint Laurent vectored to scene.
But as destroyer approached, Johansen ordered crew to scuttle boat and abandon ship.
25 of 44 crew members survived. 19 men went down with their boat. Capture of survivors provided Allied intelligence with valuable insights into German shock. During interrogation, German submariners expressed shock at accuracy of American aircraft attacks.
They knew exactly where we were. It was as if they could see underwater. But ultra-intelligence had revealed more than individual submarine positions to Allied forces.
Cryptanalysts at Bletchley Park had decoded the entire German naval grid system completely. Identifying patrol areas, Wolfpack assembly points, and supply rendezvous coordinates with perfect accuracy. Every U-boat at sea was potentially compromised by Allied intelligence superiority.
On June 5, 1943, USS Bogue's aircraft located U-217 charging batteries on surface.
Captain Kurt Reichenbacher had commanded submarine through 3 patrols, sinking 3 ships. Aircraft from Bogue attacked at dawn, catching U-217 in vulnerable charging moments.
First Avenger's depth charges damaged submarine's diving mechanism, unable to submerge safely. Reichenstag Klinker ordered gun crews to engage attacking aircraft while repairing diving planes.
Surface engagement lasted 8 minutes. U-217's guns fired over 300 rounds total.
1 Wildcat sustained minor damage from shell fragments, but submarine was losing battle.
An Avenger from Bogue delivered killing blow with perfectly bracketed depth charges.
Explosions destroyed U-217's pressure hull in multiple locations. Submarines sank with all hands,
including Reichenbach Klinker. No survivors recovered from oil slick marking her grave.
Ecological impact on U-boat crews was immediate and devastating throughout German submarine force.
Radio intercepts revealed growing anxiety among submarine commanders about American wonder weapons.
Morale reports spoke of crews becoming reluctant to surface for essential battery charging.
Admiral Dönitz responded with tactical modifications. Submerged transit through Bay of Biscay. Surface refueling restricted to darkness. Radio transmissions reduced to absolute minimums only.
But these measures only delayed inevitable. Americans had momentum and technological advantages unstoppable. By June 1943, 5 hunter-killer groups operating in Atlantic with devastating effectiveness.
Each centered on escort carrier, with destroyer escort screens providing comprehensive anti-submarine coverage.
USS Bogue, USS Card, USS Core, USS Croton represented unstoppable industrial capacity. USS Card, commanded by Captain Arnold Buster Isbell, became most successful hunter-killer group. Between July and October 1943, Card's group accounted for 8 confirmed U-boat kills, earning first Presidential Unit Citation awarded to any hunter-killer group in history. Techniques developed by Card's team became standard doctrine for all hunter-killer operations. Aircraft patrolled expanding box patterns from carrier position with systematic search coverage.
Surface radar contacts triggered immediate attacks. Submarines crash diving marked with dive markers. Pursued by destroyer escorts using hedgehog mortars and depth charges with relentless pressure.
On August 7, 1943, Card's aircraft located milk cow U-461 refueling U-66.
Supply submarine caught with fuel hoses connected, making crash dive completely impossible.
Lieutenant Charles Stapler's Avenger attacked immediately, dropping 4 depth charges straddling U-461. Explosion of over 400 tons diesel fuel created pillar of fire visible 30 miles away.
U-66 managed crash dive but was damaged by blast, surviving encounter temporarily.
She would survive this encounter, only to meet fate 9 months later. Captain Klaus Barkston, commanding U-521, witnessed destruction of U-461 from periscope depth. His war diary captured shock felt by U-boat commanders throughout German submarine force. The Americans appear everywhere simultaneously. Their aircraft arrive without warning, with impossible accuracy. We are no longer hunters, but hunted. Their weapons are impossibly accurate. October 1943 marked turning point that would define remainder of Atlantic War.
U-boat arm lost 23 submarines that month, including several veteran commanders since 1939.
Each loss represented irreplaceable experience that training schools could never replicate effectively. Destruction of milk cow submarines proved particularly catastrophic for German submarine operations. U-488, U-489, and U-490 were all sunk within weeks of each other. Without refueling capability, Type VIIC boats could no longer reach American coast effectively. Patrol areas contracted to mid-Atlantic, where hunter-killer groups waited in growing numbers. USS Core's hunter-killer group refined doctrine of continuous air coverage over suspected areas.
Dinging aircraft over suspected U-boat zones for days, exhausting submarine batteries through relentless pursuit.
This technique proved devastatingly effective against even experienced commanders with years of combat experience. On October 13, 1943, Core's group caught U-378 on surface at dawn. Submarine's commander, Oberleutnant Georg Eicke, had just celebrated his 26th birthday recently.
His inexperience showed in response to attack, attempting surface fight rather than diving. 4 Wildcats strafed U-378, while 2 Avengers positioned for depth charge runs.
Submarine's anti-aircraft gunners managed to damage 1 Wildcat before being swept away.
Eicke ordered abandoned ship as depth charges shattered pressure hull completely. Only 1 survivor was pulled from water. young commander's inexperience proved fatal.
Brutality of these encounters shocked even experienced U-boat veterans throughout German submarine force.
Korvettenkapitän Heinrich Bleichrodt, one of Germany's top aces, with 24 ships sunk.
Barely survived attack by USS Block Island's aircraft in October 1943. His submarine U-109 limped back to port with extensive damage throughout hull.
Bleichrodt never sailed again, telling fellow officers Atlantic had become a slaughterhouse.
November 1943 brought new American innovations, making U-boat operations virtually suicidal.
Introduction of centimetric radar on all hunter-killer aircraft eliminated last sanctuary of darkness.
Leaf lights turned night into day, illuminating surfaced submarines from miles away with blinding intensity.
Even most experienced commanders could no longer evade detection through any tactical means. On May 6, 1944, USS Buckley demonstrated intensity of hunter-killer operations.
Destroyer escort located U-66 on surface west of Cape Verde Islands during patrol.
Oberlieutenant Gerhard Seehausen had commanded submarine through 9 patrols, sinking 33 ships total.
His experience meant nothing against forces arrayed against him in this encounter. Unable to dive due to battery depletion, U-66 attempted to ram Buckley desperately.
2 vessels collided at 15 knots, hulls grinding together in darkness and heavy seas.
German and American sailors exchanged small arms fire at point-blank range between vessels.
Surreal combat included sailors throwing coffee mugs, shell casings, and hand grenades desperately.
American sailors hurled coffee mugs, shell casings, and in one case, a sheath knife.
Surreal combat continued until vessels separated. Lieutenant Commander Hutchins ordered all weapons to bear.
Over 4,000 rounds of ammunition expended as U-405 attempted escape through heavy seas.
Submarine's conning tower riddled with holes, deck gun destroyed, hull punctured below waterline.
Seehausen ordered abandoned ship as U-405 settled by stern with flooding compartments. Only 8 of 49 crew members survived a freezing Atlantic. Seehausen was not among them.
Bori herself was mortally damaged in encounter and would be scuttled next day.
Engagement demonstrated even most experienced U-boat commanders could no longer survive determined attacks.
Technological revolution enabling hunter-killer success extended beyond radar and homing torpedoes significantly.
Operations research scientists developed optimal search patterns using advanced probability theory effectively.
Acoustic analysis could distinguish individual submarine propeller signatures with remarkable precision and accuracy.
Statistical models predicted U-boat behavior based on thousands of observations and data analysis.
High-frequency direction finding proved particularly devastating. German submarine doctrine required regular radio reports.
Each transmission lasted only seconds, but sufficient for Allied stations to triangulate positions. U-boat commanders faced impossible choice: maintain radio silence or transmit and reveal position. Germans believed Enigma encryption system remained secure. They didn't know captured codebooks revealed everything. Captured codebooks from U-559 in October 1942 allowed British cryptanalysts to break cipher. Every operational order, from Dönitz to submarines, was read by Allied intelligence within hours.
December 1943 saw destruction of several veteran U-boats that had survived since early war. U-172, commanded by Captain Herman Hoffman, had sunk 26 ships, totaling 151,000 tons. Her crew was considered elite, having developed innovative tactics for penetrating escort screens effectively. On December 13th, USS Bogue's hunter-killer group intercepted U-172 in mid-Atlantic waters. Submarine had just transmitted weather report, position betrayed by direction finding stations in Bermuda. First attack came from Lieutenant Junior Grade William Fowler's Avenger, dropping Fido homing torpedo.
U-172's acoustic operator detected torpedo in time to evade through high-speed maneuvering successfully.
But evasion required high-speed maneuvering that drained batteries rapidly within 2 hours completely.
3 more aircraft arrived to maintain contact. For next 14 hours, U-172 played desperate survival, surfacing briefly to ventilate boat, then crash diving when radar detected approaching aircraft repeatedly.
At 0800 hours December 14th, batteries exhausted and compressed air reserves completely depleted.
Hoffman had no choice but to surface and remain surfaced for final battle.
U-172's anti-aircraft guns engaged circling aircraft, while damage control attempted futile repairs desperately.
Surface battle lasted 43 minutes. Destroyer escorts converged, firing over 400 rounds total.
U-172's hull was penetrated 17 locations before she finally sank beneath waves.
46 of 57 crew members were lost. 13 survivors pulled from water.
During interrogation, survivors revealed depth of despair among U-boat crews throughout German submarine force.
The ocean has become a trap. We cannot hide, run, or fight effectively anymore. By early 1944, transformation was complete. U-boat force nearly starved Britain, now systematically destroyed. January saw 19 U-boats lost. February, 20 more. March, 23 submarines destroyed completely.
Arithmetic of destruction was relentless and accelerating. Young, inexperienced commanders sent to sea.
Oberleutnant Georg Wolfgang Haida, commanding U-434, was 23 years old with minimal training.
When Card's aircraft caught his boat on surface, he ordered crew to fight rather than dive. Fatal decision resulted in loss of all submarine crew hands. Quality gap between forces widened.
American pilots accumulated hundreds of hours anti-submarine patrol experience with advanced equipment training. Radar operators learned to distinguish submarine signatures from surface clutter at maximum range. Acoustic operators could identify individual U-boats by distinctive propeller sounds across thousands of miles.
German submarine crews conversely becoming younger and less capable with abbreviated training programs. Average age of U-boat commanders dropped from 32 to 26 years, significantly.
Veteran petty officers who formed backbone of submarine operations increasingly rare and irreplaceable.
Boats sailed with crews who never experienced combat, led by officers from abbreviated programs.
Admiral Donitz's son Peter exemplified tragic trend, serving aboard U-954 as watch officer.
On May 19, 1943, submarine was caught on surface by British escorts and sunk with all hands.
Loss of his son did not deter Admiral from sending other young men to similar fates,
but underscored personal cost of failing U-boat campaign throughout German submarine force. Spring 1944 brought new American innovations, making U-boat operations virtually suicidal for crews.
Introduction of MAD, magnetic anomaly detector, allowed aircraft to detect submerged submarines at shallow depths.
sonobuoys dropped in patterns could track submarine movements for hours with acoustic precision.
Technological gap was becoming insurmountable.
Captain Ralph Heinrich Hauptmann commanded U-405 through 7 patrols. His experience and tactical skill kept crew alive through encounters that destroyed lesser boats. He developed techniques for evading aircraft using cloud cover and rain squalls effectively.
On October 31, 1943, U-405, operating with Wolfpack Siegfried when Card's group arrived.
Destroyer USS Bory gained radar contact at 2100 hours, range 6,500 yards precisely.
What followed would become legendary in naval history. U-405 crash dived but forced back to surface.
Unable to dive again due to damage, Hauptmann decided to fight on surface with deck guns. In darkness and heavy seas, 2 vessels collided, with Bory's bow riding onto U-405's deck. For several minutes, ships were locked together. Crews fired machine guns, pistols, and threw hand grenades. American sailors hurled coffee mugs, shell casings, and in one case, a sheath knife at German gunners. The real combat continued until vessels separated. Lieutenant Commander Charles Hutchins ordered all weapons to bear.
Over 4,000 rounds ammunition expended as U-405 attempted escape. Submarine's conning tower riddled with holes.
Deck gun destroyed, hull punctured below waterline.
Hauptmann ordered abandoned ship as U-405 settled.
Only 8 of 49 crew members survived a freezing Atlantic. Hauptmann was not among them. Bory herself mortally damaged in encounter and scuttled next day after legendary naval engagement. Engagement demonstrated even most experienced U-boat commanders could no longer survive determined hunter-killer attacks.
Technological revolution enabling hunter-killer success extended beyond radar and homing torpedoes to comprehensive systems.
Operations research scientists developed optimal search patterns using probability theory and statistical analysis effectively. Acoustic analysis distinguished individual submarine propeller signatures. Statistical models predicted U-boat behavior patterns. High-frequency direction finding proved particularly devastating. Each transmission lasted only seconds but sufficient for triangulation.
Germans believed Enigma encryption remained secure. Captured U-559 codebooks allowed British to break cipher completely.
Every operational order from Donitz read by Allied intelligence within hours of transmission worldwide. Hunter-killer groups had written first chapter of modern naval warfare, where victory determined by systematic superiority.
They transformed Atlantic from vast hiding place into transparent battlefield, where every movement was observed.
Admiral Donitz would spend 10 years in Spandau prison as war criminal, contemplating destruction of force.
His post-war memoirs contain telling passage about believing courage could overcome material disadvantage completely. American hunter-killer groups taught me that in modern war, technology and industrial capacity are decisive. We were not defeated by better sailors, but by better systems integrating multiple advantages. Legacy of hunter-killer groups extends beyond wartime achievements to modern naval warfare principles. They demonstrated future naval warfare determined by integration of air and surface forces with intelligence. Nuclear submarines of Cold War, equipped with sophisticated sensors, were direct descendants of concepts proven.
In cold depths of Atlantic Ocean, over 500 German submarines rest as monuments to devastating effectiveness.
Young men who commanded doomed vessels believed they were joining elite force determining war's outcome. They discovered instead they were facing enemy who had transformed warfare itself, replacing art with science.
Their shock at transformation echoed through ranks and ultimately through naval history itself.
German U-boat force entered 1943 as masters of Atlantic, ended as hunted fugitives cowering in ports.
Shock of reversal would resonate through naval history as moment technology forever changed warfare.
American hunter-killer groups shocked German U-boat captains through systematic application of overwhelming superiority. They revolutionized naval warfare and shocked enemies with completeness of transformation from hunted to hunter.